Okay, so this is happening tomorrow, right? It is currently November 19th. So this is happening on the Wednesday. We're currently working on a larger patch. As a hotfix, we're disabling the following items. So that makes me think that next Wednesday, there will be an additional patch, which I want to say this very, like I say this every single time with the patch notes, but it's actually really cool that they do this so consistently. It makes the game more fun. And I think patches like this are very important to the game, but they're getting rid of a lot of like the really good stuff. So that we have all level up options that upgrade specific item types except for the core. I guess because they feel like there's 5 options now, you're much more likely right now to get a very consistent build early on, which I think is like really important. That the game doesn't have it. I keep talking about how you want this game to be consistent, but you also don't want to be too consistent. You want to feel like you have a path, but you don't want to just jam that path right from the very beginning. And I feel like there's a ton of high rolling with this specific option. So this is actually like a really good change if they're going to keep the 5 options. I'm glad they left this in though, because I think if they got rid of the core, dually would feel really, really bad. They could also just put it back to 3, but I feel like maybe they have the stats that feel like 5 upgrades is very, very good for the game overall, but I have actually no idea. Armadillo. So Armadillo currently was changed last patch, and now it says whenever you shield, deal damage equal to this shield on this item. People hate this item, and it enables a lot of really degenerate builds, and it also feels really stupid to play against sometimes. I personally think the bunker interaction's the worst part about this, but I don't think it's like on its own that egregious, but I feel like maybe I'm just coping a little bit because I feel like the crook build is way less exciting for me. But the bunker interaction's silly. I guess this is a really good change though, because it opens up dually a little bit more. It's a good item, don't get me wrong. I'm acting like it's not good, but it is obviously a very, very good item, so I can understand it. Arms dealer is this is probably my favorite change of the entire thing I've seen so far. Arms dealer is the skill that is plus 30 for every time you buy a weapon or you sell it, and you can get it day 1 before you do anything. And if you get that immediately, that is a lot of HP. There's a lot of games that I have played against where I've lost because the pig has had an insane amount of HP from the very beginning, and a lot of games I've won because of the reverse, right? This is a really good change. I've actually been preaching about this for a while. I'm really glad they're getting rid of this. I don't think they need to get rid of it as a skill. I feel like they should just it should not be allowed to be offered on day 1. They're probably gonna solve that the very next patch, but I think maybe doing a hotfix here is very, very good. All right, so Crook is getting banned. Crook is the medium weapon that gives all your weapons plus damage for every other medium thing you have. This weapon is really unfortunate to play against because it feels like you can't really stand a chance against a lot of builds. And on top of it, with arms dealer, it feels very, very bad. The main issue with Crook is how it enables that spear weapon. I forget what it goes, like the Atali or whatever. But it's obviously a very silly build. And I think what they're trying to do most importantly is feel like you have a chance to survive past 2 seconds into the fight. Like the end goal here for a lot of this should be if you're at 2 seconds in a fight, you shouldn't just outright die. I would hope that's what their goal is. And they want to give you more counterplay. And this is like even more reassured with this right here, which we'll get to in a second. The yo-yo nerf is interesting. I guess they feel like other than the crook, the weights plus the bird combo where you just scale it up is really egregious. Yo-yo is also just a really good item. I wonder how they're going to nerf it. I feel like if they're going to nerf the yo-yo weapon, they probably will just make it so you can only find it at gold or diamond. I don't understand. Like, to me personally, I think the bees are way worse than the yo-yo. Like, I think the yo-yo is like a fun, cool item that works in a lot of different builds. And yeah, you could scale it, but I honestly think the bees are way worse. Because the bees not only proc the yo-yo, but the bees interact on your items as well. And I feel like it's so powerful. I'm surprised they picked yo-yo over bees. Bees don't work with Yo-Yo without Yo-Yo and Crook. I mean, I still think the bees are really good. Like, I think the bees are really, really good still, regardless, right? But I understand that concept. The bees are not as good without the Crook item. So it's interesting. I still think the bees are really, really good, but I can understand why they wanted to get rid of the Yo-Yo. I completely understand about it. Then they have Iron Sharps Iron. So I believe, if I'm correct, this skill is the one that increases the damage of your weapons at the start of a fight. This is kind of a bigger deal because it stops a lot of the one-shot builds that are available for Vanessa. And I guess that it also stops you from getting it day one. I think that's actually a really good change. Like, again, I think they're trying to make it so you have more counterplay and there's more interaction between you and your opponent's items rather than just like you queue up and die. Because I think I laugh at it now, but every single time you get one shot by like the Vanessa shotgunning into the dome and there's nothing you can do, it doesn't feel like anything you did the previous day really mattered. And I can understand why that feels really bad. So more counterplay. Will that build still be good? Probably. It's just going to take a little bit more work and you have to probably focus on making sure your weapons are better. But this is obviously very, very good. Deborah. I think Deborah. I'm pretty sure Deborah is the XP lady. The XP lady is getting removed, which means there's one less interaction. Which not only is that... Okay, so there's two sides to this. One is you can't buy 2 XP for 5 gold anymore, which is a very good thing. A lot of people still really like that. Or sorry, a lot of people will go to that because of how powerful it is, right? The other big thing and change about this is that's one less action. That's one action. It's one less interaction per day that you can see. Because I feel like I do see her enough. I basically see her every single day. So that means that you are more likely to find other stuff, which is really cool. It takes it out of the pool. I wonder how they're going to nerf it. Also with this, right? I wonder how they're going to nerf it. Maybe they just make so iron sharpens iron can't be available at gold early in the game. I think that'd be fine. But like, maybe Deborah will be... Deborah would probably go for what? Like 3 gold for an extra XP instead? But I feel like that's bad. I think she'll be... Maybe she will be increased to like a rare interaction. I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot of things that come from this, right? Because not having her in the game means your build's less consistent because you don't level up as often. And I think that's like a huge snowballing effect. This game does have a lot of snowballing in it for sure. But I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just feels bad if you're behind because then you have to be like, oh, I can't buy XP because I have nothing to do, right? Then we have Regal Blade. Regal Blade is the weapon that when you sell a weapon, I believe, it gets a specific amount of damage. Most of the time, I don't think this matters. I think it only matters if you get it right at the very start because it's the very first thing you pick. And if you do get it right at the start, I've had to build multiple times, which is like you just win the game. Because you get to the point where it gets like 2,000 damage at like day 6 and it's like, what the fuck am I even doing? And if you pair it with Arms Dealer, it's absolutely disgusting. So once again, I feel like they're just trying to make it so there's more counterplay with all of these changes. I am really excited to see the next patch. What does this mean in terms of metagame though? Pufferfish is good for Vanessa still, so Aquatic is really, really good. Pig is still fine. I know a lot of people might look at this and be like, Pig's bad now, but Pig will be fine. Dooley, on the other hand, is very interesting because Dooley really leaned into the Armadillo. That's interesting. I don't know how Dooley's going to survive. How do you counterplay an auto battler? What I mean by counterplay or like interaction is that when you go against the Crook build, all it does is just one-shot you before you even play the game or before you even use an item. Same with like the one-shot Vanessa build. You can't do any, like your items don't do anything, and that feels really bad from a player standpoint. So what I mean by interaction or counterplay, it means that there's going to be more times where at least you get to use your items before you would die. That's what I mean by that. And I think that's really, really important. Vanessa was not touched right here. She was touched. Yep. Overall, pretty happy. I think it opens up the metagame quite a bit. Dooley will probably still be fine. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I mean, all of these will come back at a different point. I just wonder how they're going to handle it. Me personally, I do think that, like, I hope they don't change yo-yo as an item. What I hope they do is they make it so you can't get it earlier on. Like, make it like a gold item, right? Same with like maybe Crook. This opens up the game a lot though. And I think that's their main goal here. And again, I want to make this very clear. The fact that they're doing patch notes every single week is absolutely phenomenal. And I am so happy that they want to continue doing that. I hope they keep doing it until maybe like the game actually gets released. But yeah, those are basically it.